Do you want to reduce your Azure subscription costs? If you do, then you're in the right place. As this video, I've got one of our Azure experts, Will Jones, to show us through the Azure Calculator app from Microsoft, which helps us get the best price for our customers. Now, before I hand you over, I should also mention we use a lot of other avenues to get the best prices from Microsoft for Azure. So if you want any help reducing your cost, there's a link in the description below to contact us. I'm going to hand over now to Will.
Find the tool, simply Google Azure Calculator, click on the top link, and then from here we can search for the relevant resource. In our case, it's going to be a virtual machine. Click on View, which will take us to our estimates page. We then need to change the currency to United Kingdom pound. And if we scroll up, we can see our virtual machine here. So we can select the region which the VM is going to be deployed in. We'll say UK South, Windows operating system, and then we've got some other options where we can select the category of the workload type, and it'll also give us a list of all available instances. If you're not sure on the instance to select, if we click on this link here, need help finding the right VM, that will take you to a separate VM selector site. So from here, we can find VMs based on a workload type. So we're going to say general purpose workload. We're going to need 4 virtual CPUs, and we're going to give 16 gig of RAM. For the OS disk, we'll have a standard SSD. And we'll also add an additional data drive. So it'll also be a standard SSD. We'll add a terabyte drive. Click Next. We want a Windows operating system. And we also want it to be in the United Kingdom. So we'll select UK. Click Next. And this is our recommended Azure virtual machine in the UK South region. So if we change this to United Kingdom pound, we can see it's been recommended D4AS V5 instance, which is the required 4 vCPUs, 16 gig of RAM, and that's coming in at £114.83 a month. We can also see the additional data disk, which is £66.44. And straight from here, we can add this to the Azure Calculator. So if we click on Add to Calculator, and then we can click on View on this calculator, and that'll take us back to our estimates page from before. If we scroll down, we'll then see our virtual machine, which is the D4AS. We can then select how many hours we think the virtual machine is going to be running. 730 hours is on all the time, but we can drop that down if we put some automation in to potentially shut the virtual machine down during the evenings or the weekends. In our case, we'll leave it at 730. And then we've also got how we're going to be actually paying for the virtual machine. By default, it's select to pay as you go, but we also get some additional options here for reserved instances. So that means that if you lock this particular virtual machine in for 3 years, then the cost can come down by up to 62%. We don't normally recommend setting that until the virtual machine's been running for a period of time, just to make sure that no changes need to be made, such as increased RAM or CPU, as this won't be able to happen once it's locked into a 3-year reserved instance. So we can see now the cost has come down to £149.27. We want to add in an additional disk, so we'll add in a standard SSD, and then we'll select that as just one, and we can see there's our £66.44. Storage transactions is based on how many transactional units are going to be happening on the SSD. and then we've also got bandwidth in here. You do get the first 5 gig of inter-region data transfer free, and then the first 100 gigabytes a month of internet egress data transfer. Leave the support, and then we can see at the bottom, with our other machine from the beginning, we've got a cost of £335.14. So next we need to think about other services which we need. In some cases we may need a VPN. So we can search for VPN gateway. This will allow us to connect our Azure workloads to our on-premise workloads. If we scroll down, we can see we want it in the UK South. We can select the type. We're going to select VPN Gateway 1. And then we can also say how many hours we expect that tunnel to be up. This will give you 10 tunnels. If you wanted any additional ones, we can add them down here. And then it also includes 128 connections for a point to site or a dial-in VPN option as well. We may also need to add a backup. So we'll search for backup. Click on view. Again, we're going to select UK South, how many VMs we want to protect. We can then select the backup policy, so how long we're going to be retaining the backups for. Select the churn and the redundancy of the data as well. So we can have locally redundant, which means it's going to be kept in the region, or we can have geo-redundant, where it's spread out across multiple locations. We'll say 1 VM for 1,000 gigs, which is coming in at £15.73 a month. With the backup policy, it's £41.84. We may also need to want to add some security options. So we normally add Defender for cloud. And this adds an antivirus product to the virtual machine. So we will select cloud workload protection. We'll go for a plan 2. Put 1 server in there at 730 hours, which is coming in at £11.48 a month. We do get some other options as well, but in our case, we're literally only protecting 1 server, but we can add other services, such as app services and managed SQL databases, if we needed to. We scroll down now. We'll get a full estimated monthly cost, which is £397.63. And we can also export this straight to Excel, so we can refer back to it at a later time.
Thanks, Will. That was really useful. Again, if you want any help in terms of reducing your Azure subscription costs, get in contact with Valto today. There's a link to contact us in the description box below, and you can have one of our experts, like Will, give you a call to get you the best price.